Imagine facing a storm, not one of rain and wind, but an internal storm, worries, doubts, fears, and uncontrolled emotions. In the midst of chaos, some get lost in confusion, while others find calm and direction. What is their secret? Clear thinking. For over 2,000 years, the teachings of Marcus Aurelius have served as a beacon for those seeking serenity and wisdom in a chaotic world. As Emperor of Rome and a Stoic philosopher, Aurelius not only ruled with justice, but also cultivated an unshakable mind, capable of seeing reality with clarity, without being swept away by panic or despair. But how did he achieve this? How can we apply his principles today to avoid becoming slaves to our emotions and circumstances? In this journey into Stoic thought, we will explore Marcus Aurelius' strategies for finding mental clarity, making better decisions, and living with purpose and tranquility. If you have ever felt that your thoughts cloud your judgment, or that emotions take control, now is the time to learn from one of history's greatest sages. Discover how to think clearly with Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism. Stoicism is an ancient and incredibly influential philosophy that is not just a theoretical framework, but also an inspiring way of thinking and living. The Stoics firmly believed that doing what is right was the key to individual happiness, and that, to do what is right, one must have sound judgment and a clear, rational way of thinking. With this in mind, in this discussion, we will explore how you can develop a rational mindset through 5 key lessons drawn from the teachings of Marcus Aurelius. Lesson 1. Train your perception. Marcus Aurelius said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." One of the greatest lessons of Stoicism is taking control of perception. We are accustomed to judging everything we encounter, every event we experience, every person we meet, everything we see. Everything is assigned a value judgment. Something is good, bad, boring, fun, beautiful, ugly, etc. Without realizing it, this is an exhausting practice that can also negatively affect our lives. For example, judging every interaction on a particularly difficult day as horrible only makes the day seem worse. If you label a party you attended as boring, that will be the defining memory of that part of your week. Often, our initial impressions of things are influenced by emotions, which means they are likely not entirely rational. Additionally, our tendency to judge every moment of our lives goes hand in hand with our habit of speaking in metaphors and hyperboles that make things seem worse than they actually are. If your partner leaves you, you might say that your ex broke your heart, instead of simply acknowledging the fundamental fact that they no longer feel the same way about you. This way of speaking, or rather, this way of thinking, shapes how you feel. It is not the event itself that causes you pain, but the way you unconsciously choose to think about it. The Stoics, on the other hand, encourage people to be careful not to judge everything they encounter. One way to practice this is by undoing your judgments, which essentially means looking beyond them. The ability to let go of first impressions and evaluate things through a more optimistic and rational lens can change your perspective. For example, instead of labeling a party as boring, you might reframe it as an opportunity to see a new place and meet new people. Later, you might realize that you didn't really connect with anyone, but by not approaching the event with negative expectations, you allow yourself a more neutral or even positive experience. Practicing non-judgment based on first impressions and emotions is the best way to begin training your perception of life. Each time you form an opinion about something, ask yourself, is this rational? What is the basis of my opinion? Is there a better or more positive way to interpret this? Marcus Aurelius emphasized that harm only exists if you consider it harm. This means that any difficult experience you go through will feel harder the more you view it as such. You have full control over how much certain situations affect you. The Stoics also encourage seeing every hardship as an opportunity or a source of good. One practical exercise for training your perspective in a Stoic way is called turning the obstacle upside down. For example, imagine a new co-worker is a slow learner and their mistakes negatively impact company profits. This person may seem like an obstacle to what you're trying to achieve: effectiveness, efficiency, and profitability. However, this situation can also be an opportunity for growth. It is a chance to practice patience, become a better teacher, learn how to integrate new people into the company, and handle stressful situations. All of these are valuable skills that will be beneficial in the long run, and may even help increase profits over time. On this topic, Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In short, instead of exaggerating or negatively judging everything you encounter, take the time to see things as they truly are, objectively. You may find that life is simpler and clearer than you thought. Every situation has both a positive and a negative interpretation. By adjusting your mindset accordingly, you'll discover that nothing bothers you as much as it once did, and you will move through life with much greater ease. Number 2, learn to control your emotions. Marcus Aurelius advises us to stop allowing emotions to override what our mind tells us, to stop being hypocritical, self-centered, and irritable. Acting impulsively based on emotions is often contrasted with acting rationally, and for good reason. Nothing clouds our judgment more than our own emotions. So, if you want to think clearly at all times, one of the most important skills to master is the ability to control your emotions. According to Marcus Aurelius, the emotion of anger in particular does us more harm than good. Contrary to what many people seem to think, controlling your emotions does not mean suppressing them. When you feel intense anger due to betrayal, you cannot control this anger by denying its existence to yourself or others, or by pretending that you are fine. It will still be there, no matter how deeply you push it down. Instead, according to the Stoics, controlling emotions like anger is done by redirecting them. So, the next time you experience anger, ask yourself, what can I do with this anger? Yelling at the person who hurt you may seem tempting, but will it help ease your pain or improve your situation? Will it help the person who betrayed you become better? In short, think about what you are tempted to do, and then ask yourself if it is useful. If not, look for ways to express your emotions that are productive. Perhaps you can get better results by calmly speaking with the person who hurt you, explaining your feelings, and trying to see their perspective as well. You could also write in a journal, engage in physical exercise, immerse yourself in a video game, or do anything else that helps you release your anger in a healthy way. As another example, consider anxiety or fear. You cannot simply suppress them, but you can redirect them. Instead of letting anxiety paralyze you, you can use it to challenge yourself to take the actions that cause it while acknowledging its presence. Let's say you're too scared to ask your boss for a raise. Many people see that fear as a reason not to do something and allow their anxieties to hold them back. Others may push through, but only by repressing and ignoring their anxiety. However, neither approach is necessary. Instead, your fear can be expressed in a healthy way and perhaps even be useful. For example, fear makes you think about everything that could go wrong. This can lead you to consider all the possible questions your boss might ask and all the counter-arguments you might hear. In this way, you can prepare for them and form a plan for every possible scenario. But most importantly, fear provides a positive motivation to move forward, challenge yourself, and grow as a person. You can prove to yourself that you can do it, taking the step not despite your fear but in part because of it. In that scenario, you can be aware of the anxiety in every moment and think, how great that I'm trying this anyway. When you can easily redirect strong emotions, you will be a calm person no matter what. Your emotions will never diminish your ability to think rationally and make intelligent decisions. Controlling your emotions is the key to a more peaceful mind. Number 3, practice the dichotomy of control. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The dichotomy of control is the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot control. For example, the weather, traffic problems, or what people think of you are beyond your control. However, how you dress, what time you leave, and the type of people you surround yourself with are things you can control. So, whenever you face a situation that makes you feel a certain way, ask yourself, what can I control? Everything you can control is a reason to act. Everything you cannot control should be accepted and embraced without letting it affect you. Learning to distinguish between these two things and acting accordingly can instantly clear your mind. A crucial part of the dichotomy of control is the concept of amor fati, or love of fate. When you embrace life and all the circumstances it brings, you will always love life. You cannot escape fate or decide the circumstances that are beyond your control, but you can choose to love your life no matter what. For example, if you find out that you were rejected for a job you've wanted for years, you might think that there's no redemption in such a situation. You wanted the job, you tried, and you failed. It might seem impossible to love fate in this scenario. However, this is a misunderstanding. Instead of seeing the fact that you didn't achieve your ambition as purely negative, examine what led to the negative outcome and use it to take a positive action. If the reason you didn't get the job was a failure on your part, then this is something within your control. You can work on those shortcomings and try again when a similar opportunity arises. If the reason was an external factor, such as nepotism or a personality clash with the hiring staff, then this was never in your control, meaning the opportunity never truly existed for you. There's no sense in being angry over something that was never within your power to begin with. A part of accepting fate is detaching yourself from fixed outcomes and external markers of success. For example, if you want to be a writer and you measure your success by the number of book sales, you are allowing your success to be controlled by the arbitrary market of the moment. But if you decide to measure your success by how satisfied you are with your final product, or by the amount of effort you put into it, then you are in control of your success. So do your best to achieve your goals, but never forget that you may not reach them, and accept this possibility in advance. If we focus only on what is in our control and commit to accepting everything else exactly as it happens, we will find peace no matter what happens. Number 4, keep virtues in mind. To quote Marcus Aurelius, dig deep within yourself, for there is a wellspring of goodness always ready to flow if you keep digging. A virtue is an excellence of character, simply morally good behavior. Morally good behavior benefits not only you and those around you, but also the greater good. The Stoics believed in an interdependent universe where everything and everyone is connected in some way. Therefore, according to Stoicism, what is best for the greater good is eventually what is best for you as well. This is why the Stoics were convinced that the most rational people were those committed to the greater good. In other words, those who acted virtuously. According to the Stoics, failing to act virtuously is the result of ignorance. When life takes you in an unexpected direction, virtues can guide you toward what you should do and keep you grounded. This is why the most virtuous people are the calmest and most relaxed. To be virtuous, one must keep in mind the 4 most important Stoic virtues: wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. Wisdom in the eyes of the Stoics is the ability to judge what is good, bad, neutral, or indifferent. Instead of being controlled by emotion, one must think clearly and logically about what would be the morally right thing to do. When faced with 2 options in a difficult situation, wisdom is the ability to consider both carefully. Justice is acquired through wisdom and means doing what is right and fair, both for others and for oneself. The Stoics saw it as a duty, to oneself, to fellow humans, and to society as a whole. Courage is the ability to act despite one's own fear, to do what is useful even when success is uncertain. Courage is not about eliminating fear, desire, or anxiety. Rather, it is about deciding to act and take steps forward despite fear, passion, or anxiety. Temperance is another word for moderation, which means staying in the middle between 2 extremes, ensuring that you never take too much or too little. In practice, temperance often appears as self-control or discipline. According to Aurelius, a quality that distinguishes humans from animals is the ability to stop when necessary. Temperance is important to ensure long-term well-being over short-term satisfaction. For example, consider a bag of potato chips. Eating the entire bag in one sitting may be enjoyable in the moment, but it is unhealthy and can even negatively affect your mood. Therefore, restraint should be practiced, stopping after the first few bites. Temperance is also aided by wisdom. Only by thinking wisely can you decide how much of something you need before stopping. The Stoics divided all things and actions in the world into 3 categories: good, bad, and indifferent. It is always important to seek the good, avoid the bad, and choose the indifferent as you see fit. You create bad when you act against one of these virtues. For example, when you steal from someone, disrespect someone, act recklessly or cowardly, or harm others. You participate in good when you act in accordance with these virtues, and you do neither when engaging in indifferent actions, such as taking a walk. These simple rules for living not only make you a better person, but also make you more relaxed. When you act in accordance with virtues, You are always guided by good and always acting rationally. According to the Stoics, this behavior creates a calm mind. Number 5. Always consider the bigger picture. For our final Marcus Aurelius quote in this discussion, he says, "As beautifully expressed by Plato, whenever you want to talk about people, it is best to take a panoramic view and see everything at once." Considering the bigger picture is a tremendously important part of clearing the mind. When we live our lives, we are always right in the middle of everything. Every problem can seem like the end of the world. For example, when you're in the middle of a small crowd, it may seem like the entire city is crowded. But taking just a few steps to the side can prove otherwise. In general, when we take a step back and view the totality of the world and our lives, we see how small everything we experience truly is, and how tiny we really are. We then realize how much exists in the world beyond our subjective experience. Many people forget that their experiences and opinions are not the only things that should matter, even to themselves. Someone who has had a bad experience with dogs, for example, may not understand or believe that dogs can be wonderful pets for others, unless they consciously consider the possibility of other experiences. Every now and then, we all need to take a step back and ask ourselves, what am I forgetting or missing? Here's a refined and engaging version of your text. Taking a step back can offer valuable insights in many ways. Imagine you're faced with a decision. Stay in your current job or apply for a newly opened position elsewhere. It might seem like a tough choice, especially if you're uncertain whether either option will truly satisfy you. Perhaps you enjoy the comfort of your current role and hesitate to take on the added responsibilities of a promotion, even though the higher salary is tempting. You might feel stuck. But have you considered all possibilities? What about exploring an entirely different field? Taking on a side job? Finding a way to earn money in your free time alongside your current position? Maybe even immersing yourself in a hobby to counterbalance time spent on work you don't particularly enjoy. Often, there are far more options than we initially realize. Shifting your focus to the bigger picture, rather than fixating on what's immediately in front of you, can be incredibly helpful in making a well-informed decision. Looking at life from a broader perspective isn't just useful for decision-making. It also helps in forming well-rounded opinions. To truly understand a situation, you need to consider all available options and perspectives. Additionally, stepping back means distancing yourself from personal biases. By momentarily setting aside your own desires, you might remember the impact of your actions on others. For example, in the moment, littering might seem insignificant, but when you consider the larger picture, the collective effect if everyone did the same, you begin to see how small, individual choices contribute to the well-being of the world. As the Stoics believed, everything in the world is interconnected, and when the world thrives, so do you. This is why viewing life as a whole, rather than just through the lens of personal experience, is crucial. When faced with a choice, challenge, or life transition, you can ask yourself key questions, either in the moment or later, perhaps while reflecting on a walk or journaling, something Epictetus strongly encouraged. Some insightful questions to consider include, what could be the long-term consequences of my decision? How might someone else see this situation differently? Do I know anyone in a similar situation who could offer guidance? How does my choice affect my well-being? How does it impact those around me? Are there alternative options I haven't yet explored? Taking the time to reflect on these questions deepens your understanding of your thoughts, actions, and choices. More importantly, it empowers you to contribute to the greater good. By consistently embracing the bigger picture, you cultivate a broader, more enlightened perspective, one that frees you from unnecessary restrictions, biases, and doubts.